All right, welcome back to another episode of the Four Trained Savages podcast. We have episode 53 for you guys. We are now immersed in the All-Star break. This pod will be releasing sometime, maybe over the Home Run Derby, probably over the All-Star game on Tuesday, but whenever it comes out, it's an All-Star break pod, and we have a very special guest again for the podcast. First time appearing on the pod here. We got Max Goodman, beat reporter for Sports Illustrated, covering the New York Yankees, all things Yankees. How you doing, Max? I gotta say, I think you were like the dude that was looked at spring training for like all the spring training vids. Me and Tyler would be going back and forth, and we'd be saying,
got me fired up on so many Corey Kluber videos.
Yeah, exactly. Just a lot. You're doing us doing Yankee Land, Yankees Twitter a service there, just tweeting out all those videos and giving us content during the games not being broadcasted. Man, how you doing though?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys. That was my first full spring training because I started on the beat in 2020 and everything got cut short. So I was meeting players for the first time back in 2020. I had like 2 weeks with all the other reporters, and then wasn't boots on the ground all the way until this spring. And even then, I wasn't around the players, So I grew up in New York City. I was a Yankees fan as a kid, so I figured, I'm getting to do my job and posting things on Twitter for work, but I'm also, like you said, doing a service to all the fans at home because a lot of those games weren't on TV. So yeah, I got a lot of positive feedback from that. So I'm glad I could help.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So actually sticking with that, before we get into this interesting, to say the least, baseball team after we were recording after the Houston series, right after that debacle at the end of the game. But before that, kind of going along with what you're saying, you're new on the beat. You said your first full on season with everything getting back to normal as well. How's that been, man? Like you're new to it, I guess, and you're just fitting in. I've heard you on some of the Zoom calls. I've heard Max Goodman. Now you're on Ask Your Question. Like it's how's it been for you? Has it been like, are you learning on the fly in some things, and how's the experience been overall for you?
Overall, it's been good. I truthfully couldn't have asked for a better first couple of years out of school. I graduated from Medill, the Northwestern Journalism School, in 2019. So I'm very fresh out of school. This was always what I wanted to do, cover baseball in some way, some form. So I'm getting to do a lot of writing, go on camera, get better at asking questions, like you said. And now we're back on the field. So building those relationships and connections with not just the players and the coaches, but other reporters too. I think for the most part, the vast majority of the other folks on the beat have been incredible, really great resources for me to learn from. And it's been a very up and down year. I think that I'm really getting to cover a team that the highs and lows, it's like you're experiencing the entire spectrum of what you would get in Major League Baseball. Yeah. And as I mentioned, growing up in the city, I mean, I'm unbiased at this point, but it's really cool to be on the field of a stadium where I was going as a kid. And that's kind of where, obviously the old stadium too, but that's kind of where my baseball fandom blossomed in a sense, so no complaints. It's a grind. It's definitely a lot, and we're halfway through now, but I'm enjoying every second of it.
Yeah. Max just also informed us we took his only day off this year to come hang out.
We are.
I'm just playing. We appreciate you coming on, Max.
Yeah, no, just to fill the people in, I stayed in Seattle. I flew out to Seattle to cover these games. I stayed here just to take some time. My girlfriend flew out, so we're doing some sightseeing. But I'll be back, Boston in the Bronx on Thursday to start the second half. Yeah. I'll be there.
Real quick, who are you said you're a Yankee fan? Who are like your guy? Obviously there's like plenty, but who would you say like your guys that I know Tyler's like out there guy, Tyler explains that Hideki Matsui is his like favorite player. That's his guy. Who are, what were some of your favorite memories, I would say, as a fan growing up? And, any players that stand out or any current ones now? Now you're a reporter, so I don't want to
right.
Inflict that. So we'll keep it in the past. Who are your guys back in when you were starting as a fan?
It's the stereotypical, little baseball fan growing up in I was a Derek Jeter fan through and through. His prime was like right when we were all growing up. So it was cool for me because I interned for MLB.com in 2018 covering the Marlins. And it was like my second day down in Miami. And that was when he started with the Marlins in his new, ownership role or whatever it is he's doing down there. So it was like my second day and we did a scrum on the field with him. And it was like a surreal moment for me because I was still in college at that point and I had never really like been around him in person. So that was those kind of moments where you're obviously being professional and I've been trained through school and internships and all that to be ready for those moments. But it's like, wow, I'm really living the dream in that sense.
Yeah, that's dope.
But earliest memories, I think I was 6 in 2003 when Aaron Boone hit the home run that we all remember off of Tim Wakefield. And I think that's one of my earliest memories. I don't know if that's late to have a first memory to be 6 at that point.
No, I don't
but
think
also,
so.
okay. I mean, my family's also from Miami, so that was a big World Series for me because I also kind of grew up a Miami sports fan too.
Yeah, very split there.
Yeah, exactly. But Jeter, I played first base in high school and college, so I liked Teixeira. I liked how he was, a defensive guy. All the steroid stuff with A-Rod, but I always, liked watching him play when he was at his peak. Yeah. And then I like this new group of Yankees. Obviously, we're not in the baby bombers era per se anymore, but I think it's cool to see, when I'm walking to the ballpark every day, seeing like the kids going in with the Judge jerseys and the Sanchez jerseys. Like, I think it's a cool group for the next generation growing up as Yankees fans. Cool is a weird word to describe it, but I think in terms of the talent and the highs of, you're getting such an elite group, but they're also getting the full spectrum, like I said. So we'll see if they can turn it around. I'm sure you're going to ask me about that too.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of those to go around. Yeah, Tyler, go ahead. You got a question to start them off about the current team and what's going on?
I'm ready to jump right into this current team, Max. So I know, my wish this week was, I was like, all right, boys, let's go 4-2 and I'll be happy. I don't know. After today, I'm not exactly the most happy, but I think we can all kind of agree there's definitely some holes that need to be filled coming in after the All-Star break. The draft is today, so I expect some trades to start going through maybe. Do you have kind of, I don't know, I don't want to start off with a trade, a wishing trade piece, like something that's maybe not reachable, but what would you say that the Yankees, what's realistic to you that they go out and get? Who do you think that they may, actually make a couple phone calls for?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head in that now that the draft is going down, I think we may start to see a lot more momentum build on the market. And that's kind of what Cashman has alluded to in the past, that the market was, at a standstill up until now. Yeah. And maybe we'll see things start to get hot quickly. Who knows? I mean, there's only a couple of weeks now until the deadline at this point. You mentioned the holes. I think it's pretty clear that they need some help in the outfield, specifically some left-handed hitting. And then you can never have enough pitching. I think going into, let's say, like this road trip, I thought that it was mostly starting pitching that they need. But now, I mean, with the way that Chapman is, is I guess you could say a liability, at least right now. I mean, he is one of the best in the league when he's pitching well, but I'm not really sure how long it's going to take him to fix that. And who knows how long Loizaga is going to be out, although when you're listening to this, he may already be back. We're not really sure how many days or if he's, going to be ready for the second half. I think when Glaber went on the COVID IL, he only missed like 7 games. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a long-term thing, but he's been incredible. Chad Green is incredible too, but as you saw, he sometimes can get bit too. It happens to the best of them. So I think that realistically, I mean, maybe not another Tim LeCastro type of trade, because that was not really a splashy move, although I think he's been very, he's been a contributor so far, and that's a good thing. But the balance of the lineup, man, and this goes back to the way that this team was built. It's just so righty heavy. And when they face really talented pitching, that flaw is, exposed. Magnified exponentially, exposed. Exactly. So if they could get, I mean, everyone's talking about Joey Gallo and how he would be a tremendous fit. And I see it. I don't know if they go out and get him because it's going to cost a lot. There are obviously all the financial implications too, and the luxury tax, which I don't have to get into too much because there's a lot of stuff that even I don't understand with that. But the repercussions are clearly something that the team is considering because they haven't gone over that amount yet. And it's been all these months that they could have potentially made a move. So if they could get who knows? I mean, Ketel Marte will probably be moved. The Diamondbacks are I mean, they're probably eliminated from contention soon, right?
Please.
That's a crazy bad team.
Yeah, and maybe the Orioles move Mullins, although I don't know if they would trade within the division.
Oh,
Max, I don't know. You're getting me too
me
excited right now, man. You're getting me excited, dude.
Well, I'm just listing all the guys that like I could see making an impact if they were to go get them. I don't know if this would happen. I mean, Frazier with the Pirates too. Like those are all guys that if you're really gonna buy and you're willing to, sacrifice some of the financial repercussions, like I said, and sacrifice the prospects, because all of these guys are really talented and they're going to cost a lot. But if you want to win this year, I think you could really benefit from adding one of those guys and you put them right there at the top of your lineup or even at the bottom of your lineup. And it makes the lineup that much deeper and more versatile. And the holes are not completely filled, but they're a little more full. You know what I mean?
Throw another Band-Aid on it.
Yeah,
exactly. And then, pitching, you can never have enough pitching. I always talk about not the Astros, the Nationals, when they won that World Series, like that rotation just carried them through. And obviously they had the mojo and the chemistry, which is important as well. We saw that start a little bit with the Yankees this past series in Houston, right? So we'll see if they can continue that. And I think that's a big component as well. But you can never have enough pitching, especially coming off the 60-game season last year. Who knows how many guys are going to get hurt, not wishing it into existence, but I think it will happen around the league. That their arms aren't as accustomed to the full 162. And you don't want to burn out Loaizaga and Green. You don't want to burn out Cole as much as he's, throwing 129 pitches the other day. Like he's showing that he can, but you want to save some bullets too if you're going to, go deep into October.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because obviously this stretch of games is important, and me and Tyler will go back and forth and just saying how, this point of the season can really, this 8-game stretch against Boston, 2 games against Philly, and 3 against Tampa, literally right prior to the All-Star break. You're right up against it. It's very important.
Yeah.
And Cashman said in that stretch of games when we were playing the Angels and stuff, he was saying that, they were playing like crap, and he would assess the situation a lot more, depending on how the team performs. He pretty much alluded to that. Is there, how important in your perspective and how you're around the team and the kind of energy that's going through the beat reporters and everything, and like this, your experience, like how important is this next stretch of games to then determine if they are willing to go out and get a piece, whether that's a Band-Aid piece or anything, or if they're gonna quote unquote, I mean, I know Yankee fans freak out when you say the word sell, but they have a different meaning of sell, this team
Retool.
Clearly, because yes, a retool, whatever you want to call it. They're selling more players than taking in. How do you see this next stretch playing out in its importance of, whether or not they will trade away pieces or take in more pieces in your mind?
I think that these next couple series are everything. I don't think they're just important. I think this is going to decide the future of this team, at least for this year. If they come out flat and can't carry the momentum, I mean, they took 4 of 6 of those 2 series on that road trip right at the end of the first half, right? Like that's pretty solid in the grand scheme of things. Obviously you want to win that last game, but if you can't carry that momentum, you come out flat, you lose a series to Boston twice in a row, or maybe you get swept again. When are you going to find the games against those guys to make up ground, and then you're kind of just hoping that they lose a lot in September and you're able to make it up by, I think they play, Baltimore and Tampa in September. And like, those are divisional games, but you have 8 games against the team that's leading the division. If you take 6 of 8, who knows how many games you're going to be back, but you're very much in striking distance, right? Especially after going 0-6 to start the year against that team. So maybe the retool you mentioned, maybe they do something like what they did in 2016. If it doesn't go well, you try to find some value that, you're still a contender next year and this just wasn't your year, and you can get some talent back. I don't know if it would be like a Chapman, or I don't know, is Gio Urshela someone that's like expendable because he could help another team, and they kind of have a clogged infield if you're really going forward with Voit and DJ, and then where's Glaber going to be if he's at short or second, all that kind of stuff. You can make a case for anybody. Urshela was just who popped in my mind. But yeah, if you come out of this month and you're midway through, and Cashman's going to be negotiating and having those conversations throughout. He's made it clear that he's been talking to pretty much every team so far. And I don't doubt that, because they could really use a couple pieces. But if you're not winning, and I think the analogy he gave was if they fall like a stone, then they're not going to go out and acquire pieces. They're going to potentially sell. But at the end of the day, and fans would hate this, I wonder if they just stand pat and go into next year, and on paper, this is still one of the best teams in the American League. Obviously, things didn't pan out this year, and maybe the roster is too flawed to do something like that, but the talent is there, in my opinion. It's just finding a way to put it out there in the right way and surround them with those other pieces, not just the Band-Aids, but the foundational assets that are going to, bring the best out of the Aaron Judges and the Garrett Coles, so that they can excel and really carry a team. But this division is not going anywhere. I think that Toronto is going to be even more of a threat down the road. We're only starting to see glimpses of that, and Boston's not going away either. I mean, they really surprised me so far this year, and it looks like they're going to, be at the top of the division all the way through, unless lightning strikes in Tampa. That was a nice pun by me there too.
Yeah, I like that.
Max, you scare me a little bit when you say we might run it back next year. I know I don't want to, necessarily blow it up at all, but I think you also hit it, like you said before, right on the head. I feel like they have this core, but they don't necessarily know, what that, I don't know if this makes any sense, what that core of the core is. Like, who are you going to build around? Where are you going to find those intricate pieces to kind of allow them to mesh and allow them to kind of take off? That being said, current leadership on this team. I know we saw a little bit of it in this series. Yanks looked like they actually, are having some fun as of late, which is something I haven't seen at all this year. It looks like they've just been going to work every day. But what do you make of the current, leadership roles on this team? Who is, I know Aaron Judge just called a players meeting about a week ago, but in your mind, who are kind of, the go-to leaders of this team?
Yeah, I think it was Michael King that someone asked who spoke in that meeting. And off the top of my head, I mean, obviously Judge called the meeting, and he's been the closest thing to a captain since Jeter, right? So he's very much a leader by example, a leader with his play, a leader vocally. I think that Luke Voit is also very much leading with the way that he's speaking and how he's throwing his helmet. He really wants to win. I think that he's solidified that reputation with such a good campaign last year, and now he's starting to figure things out after being hurt. Garrett Cole has to be up there too. I mean, he's making all that money, and sometimes he's pitching like he deserves that kind of money.
Yeah.
And I think that he talks in the clubhouse too. Same with Zach Britton. Those guys are both players union reps, and they've been around for forever. They've been on other teams too in the American League.
Do you think we're lacking kind of a horse in the locker room?
I think that they definitely miss a CC Sabathia.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a void that can be filled by anyone because of just how many years he was there, what he did year in and year out at the top of the rotation, and the fact that he was a winner too. I mean, the closest they have to that is Brett Gardner, because he's the only one that's left from that championship team.
Uh-huh.
And as much as I think that he's been an example for, every organization of longevity and durability and contributing year in and year out. I mean, he's 37 and his best days are behind him.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bold take. So he can speak in the clubhouse and speak from experience, but I think that in terms of who they're going to listen to, it's guys like Judge. I don't think Stanton is very vocal. I think he's more of a reserved guy, but again, leading by example. If a player goes out there and gets 5 hits like Voit, the other day, or hits a ball 120 miles an hour in a clutch spot like Stanton can do. It's those kind of things that can really fire up a team. And last thing I'll mention is Rougned Odor hasn't been the best player statistically.
Been a great cheerleader though.
Yeah, but the way he's picking everybody up in the dugout.
Awesome,
it's those kind of things. Yeah. Every team kind of needs a player like that, you know, like what was it for the Nationals that year? Para with the baby shark thing, and Howie Kendrick, and how he can come up in a big spot. Odor has had a couple big home runs.
Threw the jacket on Gary today too.
Exactly. Right. Those kind of things may seem like, you know, you forget about it a couple hours later, but I'm sure he's making people laugh in the clubhouse and firing everybody up. And that's the other thing. We're not in the clubhouse. I think that this whole team would look differently to you guys and fans and everybody out there if reporters like me and everybody else on the beat were in there talking to players. Maybe I'm not the best example because I'm still new and I'm still building those relationships, but give Lindsey Adler and Brian Hoke and Brendan Cuddy and all those guys, give them days and days to talk to these players that they've been around to for years.
Yeah.
They're going to hear maybe stuff that's off the record, or players are going to talk about other players. Like it happens in a big league clubhouse. It happens in a professional locker room over months and months when a team isn't playing too well. So I think that we're deprived by that a little bit, and the stories that we would be getting to. But
yeah, I would ask. So along with the leadership kind of question, it kind of we're looking for someone throughout the locker room to kind of to take that role, but there's been a lot of debate amongst Yankee fans of where to shift that blame. And it's been a conversation. Is it on the general manager? Is it on the manager? Is it on the players? We both, me and Tyler both personally think there's more onus on the players. But we know that the architect of the team was Brian Cashman, and the guy that we think is, calling a lot of the shots and making decisions when it's on the field is supposed to be Aaron Boone. We're a little left in the dark in that respect, but that's what we assume. And a lot of the light has been shed on more so now Boone and Cashman. And I would just kind of want to know what is your feeling on it? Is it? I think that we would all agree that the players are the ones going out there to perform, and it usually the guys that aren't making those massive contracts that are on the field or on the court or anywhere usually don't get the short end of the stick like the guys who are a little bit more expendable in the managerial role. I mean, that's kind of the way it's been in baseball for history or any kind of sport. It falls on the coach. But where would you kind of shift your blame? And do you guys kind of get a sense that it is now with the glaring holes that have kind of been coming up with the structure of the team, the architecture of the team and how it's put together? Is it kind of showing to be more on them than it has been before? And what's kind of your feeling on that?
I think I think the blame falls on everybody from all the way at the top, how Steinbrenner is using his money and whether he's willing to make the team better, how Cashman designed the team and how they came into this season with this roster. And, injuries are always a part of it too. Who knows how they would be if Severino now never had Tommy John, and if Kluber didn't get hurt, he was still pitching behind Cole all these months. If Hicks never got hurt, those kind of things. No matter what's going on behind the scenes with Aaron Boone, I don't have much I could tell you there. I do believe that he's making a good amount of decisions. Whether or not it's 100% of them, I don't know. But some of the blame falls on him too. Sometimes he'll make a decision in terms of a pitching change or a lineup change. Whoever makes those calls, the blame goes on them sometimes too. And then, it's the players. It's Steinbrenner was talking about this when he, had that address with the media was a couple weeks ago now, that it comes down to the players. They're putting out a talented roster out there. I think that entering this year, we all kind of assumed that this team would be a playoff team, right? Like on paper it's there, but a lot of guys are underperforming. And even when some guys put it together, like, isn't Gary Sanchez like a couple for his last 30 or something like that since that stretch where he was back? I think Judge has really been the only complete beginning to end consistent player. And even he's had his slump every once in a while. So maybe it's just the perfect storm of all of these guys underperforming and going through rough patches, which happens. Baseball is very hard. It's hard to hit a ball that's being thrown 100 miles an hour moving. Yeah. So, the blame goes on everybody, and that makes it even more challenging to figure out where you go from here, because I don't necessarily think firing Aaron Boone is the solution, because I think that he led this team to 100 plus wins his first 2 years, which isn't that long ago. You can't really count last year because of the pandemic. If the players were performing well, then he'd be a candidate for manager of the year again. Yeah. So the question is just, in those couple of years, the next man up mentality, right? And how they overcame all these injuries. Like, where is that this year? Because they haven't gotten that kind of production from the Cameron Mabins coming in and helping out, like those kind of role players. It just hasn't been, I'll use it again, the perfect storm. That team wasn't necessarily supposed to win 103 games or whatever it was in 2019, and whatever it was in 2018 too. So I don't necessarily think they're going to make any changes. Cashman has proven in the past that he doesn't make changes during a season. I don't necessarily think Cashman's job is in danger. Maybe, if they continue to spiral and this offseason, maybe the organization as a whole goes in a different direction or something. We'll see. But yeah, it's this whole roster. You have to look at who isn't playing well and entering this offseason, whether it's someone who's, at the end of their contract, or you could potentially get value for them in return. Maybe we do see a flurry of moves once this year is over. But yeah, it's just been such a weird year for this team. Like I think I tweeted a couple weeks ago that this season, the 2021 Yankees are going to be a case study, because the highs are so high, right? And they're doing all these unique historic things, the triple plays, the no-hitter, the immaculate innings, the walk-offs and the comebacks, and then there's the collapses that are pretty much routine at this point. Like, they're due every couple days for a clunker in the ninth inning to lose a big game after playing well for a whole series. It's like they take steps forward and then they take steps back that are even more steps back. Yeah. So I don't know if there is a solution to that. Maybe this is just, it's just an unlucky year. I hope not. I don't know.
Well, that being said, we're kind of stumbling right into this question. I think going into this year, at least me personally, I was like, damn, the American League kind of sucks. And now that's definitely not the case. We have a crowded American League, a lot of good teams. Obviously, the Rays, the A's are playing well. Teams like the Mariners playing well as well. Also, Astros are dominant. The Sox are killing it out of nowhere. Are we in your gut, are we making the playoffs? Are teams like the Mariners, the A's, the Jays, the Indians falling apart? I could kind of see Cleveland selling off. Toronto's obviously going to be there, like we discussed, but I don't know. I mean, we're all Yanks fans, so I feel like the answer, should be yes, I guess.
Hell yeah.
But I don't know. What's kind of your take on that? Are we playing October 4th or October 5th, whatever it is?
It's a great question, a very relevant question. Every passing week, I think I get closer and closer to saying no. I'm not necessarily ready to say that yet, because there is that stretch that we talked about with Boston, and maybe everybody regroups over the break and they kind of take the positives from Seattle and Houston, and they're like, okay, let's roll with it. And they come out strong. And like I said a couple of minutes ago, maybe you're only a couple games back after the month of August, and then you're right there. Well, you still have a lot of July left too. So I'll say yes, but it's a very hesitant, tentative yes. And I think that if you ask me that again, even in a week, if they lose that series to Boston or something, if they come out, because it's a streaky sport, right? From individuals to the team as a whole too. So if they come out and they're not looking like the team we saw in those first two games in Houston or the first two games in Seattle, if they don't look like that team, I think it's a no. And I think that Cashman and Steinbrenner and all those guys are watching too, right? And if they see, okay, it's not looking good, maybe they do start to sell off some pieces. But I think that they need everything. They need guys starting to pick it up that haven't been playing well. They need a monster stretch from a couple different guys. They need more ace-like performances from Cole. They need Chapman to be Chapman. They need the mojo in the dugout, and they need that shtick, like the jacket and doing this and all that kind of stuff. You know, they need everything to get back into the standings, because they're like 9 games back. I haven't checked in.
4.5 back in the wild card, and then I think Tyler, right? 9
in the division right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's huge.
So that's not insurmountable. They could do it, but it's going to take. It's going to take winning 2 out of 3 every series, you know, like, because those other teams that you mentioned, Boston's not going away. Tampa is Tampa. They've proven it in the past, even if they're not having their best year. And then you don't want to play a team like Toronto in September when you need to win 3 games, because that last series against Toronto, it took 3 comebacks to win that series. And I think they sweeped them, right? So you can't just rely on those types of things to happen when, all the planets are aligning. You even look at the second game in Houston, right? They won 1-0. The offense was non-existent.
Easily could have lost 2 out of 3.
Exactly. And that's how baseball is. That's why it's so great. One bounce can change a season.
Yeah.
So long story short, yes, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. Probably not.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We'll take it. We'll accept that answer. But before we let you head out of here, because we know you're still on vacation, we'll let you enjoy the rest of it. Oh, by the way, I think we tweeted this at you. How was the food in Seattle? Was it banging, or was it?
Oh yeah, that was you guys. So the first day I did the world famous garlic fries, which were very garlicky. I did concessions all the way through. I didn't do the media food.
That's so guy right there. That attaboy.
Oh, of
course.
There we go. Because I had to do a lap around the stadium and mingle a little bit and see what's going on. It was very nice stadium. Like, probably like top 5 for me. I've been to about half, I think.
Yeah.
And I liked it a lot. The chicken tenders and fries were classic. Then I went to the Ivers. I think it's Ivers, the seafood place, and had a salmon sandwich the second day, which was on the pricey side and very dry. But I think I should have put some sauce on it, and that would fix the issue. So rookie mistake there. I take the blame.
Hold on, Michael K. No condiments.
Yeah, man, and no Bev too. I was all over the place.
Can't forget the Bev, bro. Can't forget the Bev.
But the food outside of the stadium here has been incredible too. I had all you can eat sushi last night. At this point, we're going to a dumplings place in a couple days called Din Tai Fung, which is a classic world-class type of place. So yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this, you've never been to Seattle, it's a great ballpark, great food. The views are incredible. The weather's been really great. So I highly recommend.
Nice. Are you going to be able to catch any of the home run derby? Who you got winning tomorrow?
It's hard not to pick Ohtani, right? I mean,
that's who I got.
I don't even I've kind of tuned out of who else is in it since Ohtani was the first. It kind of just feels like he's going to run away with it.
I know. I can see Gallo winning it.
That's what I was going to say. I know who Yankee fans are rooting for. Joey Gallo is going to go out there, have a tremendous display at the home run derby in 2021, and then he's coming to the Yankees in a couple weeks. I know I've seen that circulating over Twitter. I'm just like, okay, let's relax.
It could be Trevor Story, little hometown sauce.
Yeah.
Or sneaky pick Matt Olson. I can hit the ball.
I would ranking this year.
I would love that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun though. I think it doesn't have the traditional, and maybe this is disrespectful to the guys who are in it, but I don't think it's the names as you think of in Miami a couple of years ago when it was Judge, Stanton, Sanchez, all those guys. I'm realizing now I just listed 3 Yankees, so I guess maybe this is a big market bias, but I do think that it can be better than maybe it seems like it's going to be. And maybe Ohtani doesn't run away with it. Maybe it's a couple really good rounds. But also with the new format too, it gets kind of crazy. A lot of home runs.
Yes. So. Especially in the Colorado Stadium. But Max, thank you again for coming on, taking some time out of your vacation.
Yes, sir.
That's how you know he's dedicated to the Yankees and he's dedicated to the craft, man. He's coming out on vacation and spending time with the Savages. I appreciate it, though, and spending some time with us, brother.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Definitely let me know if you're ever at the stadium. We'll say hi.
Yeah.
And it should be a fun rest of the year, guys. If you ever want to have me back on, let me know.
Yeah.
I'm always willing. I love doing this kind of things.
For sure. So that's it for episode 53 of the Four Train Savages podcast. Once again, please be sure to subscribe to the pod, leave us a rate and review on Apple Podcasts, follow us at Four Savages and at Four Train Savages on the gram. Also follow Max T. Goodman on Twitter. Great follow. You get to see all the Yankee updates, everything that's going on, especially coming down into this trade talk. It's going to be very important to keep up to date and everything. So once again, thanks to Max. We will catch you guys next time.